welcome to another episode of the Billy Ho Show. Before we get started, when I was a teenager, these were popular. This is a 45 RPM record, and it's made of vinyl. But I remember these when we went to the local dairy and we had a milkshake. You put, I think, a shilling or sixpence into the jukebox, and the thing would come out like so, and then put itself onto the record player, and it played whatever record you were playing. But these are made of vinyl, and I always wondered why the songs were so short. Well, that's only because you can only put 2.5 minutes of recording on either side of these things. So that's why most of the pop songs were between 2.5 and 3 minutes long. Interesting. But anyway, the old 45, not much good for anything these days, and I doubt if you could even play them, but it's just interesting. So next up, we're going to go to Richmond, and we're going to talk to my mate Richard, who's restoring a Leyland Hippo. So let's start there. Well, with me is Richard Wakeland, and welcome to our little show, Richard, again.
Yeah, thank you.
And what we're next to here is what I call a box Leyland, which is just a square box cab with a couple of windows in it and a steering wheel, and off you go.
That's right. Yeah.
But I remember these when I worked at Matahina in the 1960s. These were logging trucks sort of roaring through the village off to get a load of logs, and then they come back and start changing gear long before they get to the hill. Then when they're going up the hill, they're going up about sort of 1 or 2 miles an hour, and then they're over the top and off they go again. But they were what we had in the time, the Leyland Hippo. That's a very popular truck for all sorts of things, really, including logging. But it was the heavy-duty truck that we had. And at the time, we were only allowed to buy British, or you could buy American, but you had to pay extra taxes and that sort of thing. So we all ended up with Commas and Leylands and Bedfords and trucks like that. But
Yes.
the Leyland being the sort of like the heavy-duty one of them all. This one has come up from Alex McClellan and down in Balclutha, and it's sat in his shed for a while, and so somehow you've decided that you've taken a fancy to it, so got it shipped up here. Maybe tell us that story.
Well, my initial likeness to this vehicle when I spotted it on your tour down there at Alex was the fact that it more or less the same model as the first one that came to New Zealand, who I had the privilege of working for, this contractor Bernie Hale back in, and he got the first one in either late 1951 or early 52. And it was just the fact that this old thing was in Alex's shed, and seeing the brown colour of it, I did wonder if it was an old ex-Nelson Transport colour, because the old brown is similar to their old original colour. So when Bill here informed me the next year that Alec wanted some shed space, the temptation was too great, and here she is.
There she is. The look of it, was the model after this that had the mouth organ front on it?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is the original.
Yeah.
And previous to this would have been the roundy.
Not quite sure on that.
Or are they running the same?
I don't know on that. I couldn't really be quoted on that, but as I say, Bernie had the first one, and she had the same cab and running gear and everything as this. It's the Leyland 600 motor. The later ones came out with the 680 motor, of course, and gave them a bit more sting. And
I think I saw Gavin Abbott's workplace, Podiki Transport, or it might have been Gisborne Transport, had a similar grille to this.
Yes.
But when you stand next to this, in its day, it was a big truck.
Oh, she was a big rig.
But now you sort of, the seat's sort of up about here somewhere. You've got to climb up all these sizes of bloody room to get up into them. But back in the time, this was a big truck. But even getting in and out of these things, it wasn't all that easy.
No. I was only early 20 years old when I first started driving this old tart down around Banks Peninsula.
Okay.
And now I'm 81, so there's a bit of water gone under the bridge and a few miles gone under the tyre since then. Yeah. But no, she's it's the sort of thing that I took a liking to the thing, and the big question was whether it would go, and with a lot of assistance from my good friend old Roger Humphreys in Nelson here. I've nothing but admiration for the capabilities of that guy. And we started checking oils from the back and worked our way through and got to the gearbox had probably a gallon or more of water in that, which was a sad state. But we've cleaned it all out and flushed it all out, and she drives. There's a few odd noises coming out of the gearbox, but apart from that, she's mobile.
Wow.
And it's never going to travel out the gate because there's no way even if I won the $24 million lotto, I think we'd run out of money by the time we got her all in one piece again. But
wow.
no, it's something because of the fact that I'd driven the old original and this thing was there, and yeah, we'll tidy her up a bit and see what happens from there.
Can we hear it go? Maybe.
If you give me 10 minutes.
All right.
Yes. I'll bleed that system through again, and we do have a fuel problem with it, and I think it relates to the pipe that goes right down inside the actual fuel tank.
Richard, Leyland like to put their handbrakes on the side, so when you pull it on, it's in your way to try and get out of the bloody thing.
That's on, and then
that's off.
yes.
And then we've got a gear stick there, and what's the one?
5-speed gearbox on the main gears.
Yep.
And a high and low, high and direct, or direct and low.
Oh, okay.
And on
so
this,
it's like the American two-stick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm.
And this?
That's all the
Electrics.
starter button and all the switches for your starting and your lights and your
Blah blah blah.
all the blah blah blah. Yes. Yes.
Well, there's certainly plenty of room in that cab. You can sort of have a bit of a picnic in there. No worries at all. Huge windscreen.
Yes.
Unlike the next model, the LAD model, where you had to sort of lean forward to try and see underneath the windscreens there, but no, they certainly got the windscreen sorted out with this one.
Could I just lean over there and lift that bonnet for a shot of the motor?
Yep.
There's the power plant.
That looks pretty tidy.
Yes, she's been water blasted and cleaned up, and the old air cleaners, they are in a fairly rusty state, as you can see with a lot of the rest of it, and I've tidied them up and
Yep.
everything's good.
Well, Richard, congratulations on what you're doing. I think that's, in terms of history, that's just absolutely wonderful. And for all you guys who drove one of these, I hope this brings back memories for you. And if you want to come and see this is at Higgins Park at Wakeland at Pigeon Valley Road, easy to find. And if you ask for this man, I'm sure somebody will point you to where he is. And you can come and have a look at this thing. Richard, thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much for your input, Bill.
What I've got here is a copy of Talking Trucks. This is a book I wrote a couple of years ago, and it's the history of New Zealand trucking. And it's all from the programs that I did between 2013 and 2016. I'm going to let this go for $25. So it's a special. Christmas is coming up. So if you'd like your copy, there's my phone number, 027 277 0717. Just send me a text or email me, billhohipper@extra.co.nz to get your copy. $25 and the history of New Zealand trucks. The event is called Horsepower, New Zealand's biggest display of classic trucks and other machinery on at Levels Raceway, Timaru on the 3rd and 4th of October 2000. We'll be there filming, so we'll see you there. Next up, I went to Mercer the other day and parked up there is this enormous loco. So let's go and have a look at it. In this little section we're going to have a look at a very interesting steam locomotive called a Garrett. And it actually came from Africa. So there's a whole story about this machine getting here. The railway people, the railway enthusiast people decided, yes, that's us, we'll bring this over here, we'll adapt it for New Zealand Rail and we'll do excursions with it. So they went to look at it about 1989, thereabouts in Africa, and it arrived here probably about 6 or 7 years ago, but it hasn't gone anywhere. But it's just an interesting locomotive the way it's laid out. It's called a Garrett. It's an articulated machine. There's a water tank on the front, and there's a water tank and coal bunker on behind there. So let's have a closer look. The other interesting thing about this locomotive is it's got two sets of drivers, one up the front there and one just behind the cabin. It was a very economical machine in terms of burning coal and water. Very economical. And they were very popular in Africa, and I think they built about 74 of these things for the Rhodesian Railway. Interesting. I remember talking to a bloke when we were doing the Kingston Flyer, the original one, the Rogers, and he was telling me that these great big steel wheels have tyres. Interesting, they have tyres, they have a big steel band with the running gear on it, and they hammer them on, so if when they get worn out they can pick them off and put another tyre on. This locomotive has done something like 1.5 million miles in its life, which is a fair number, but it's interesting. This train is in 3 parts, and it's articulated just in front of the water tank in the front. There's the boiler, and if we go down you'll see where it's articulated in front of the coal bunker and extra water bunker behind. This loco is located in Mercer, south of Auckland, so if you're travelling by you might see it. And just to finish, I managed to find some old footage of 2 of these things doing their thing. And it's interesting how thick the steel is. Look at the thickness of the steel. What is that? 3/4 of an inch? 2 centimetres? Really thick. So it must weigh a huge amount. I'll find out what it weighs, but it'll be a few tonne. But if they can't do anything with this, I guess what we're looking at is just a big pile of scrap steel. I've got a mate in Westport called Mickey Ryan. And Mickey Ryan has a company called Out West Tours. And amongst his tours, he takes people in to visit John Curry. And John Curry is in this little valley and a very interesting man, a bushman from way back. So he knows all about trucks and the bush. And I had an interview with him, and most enlightening. He was just a great character. So let's join John. I've met some interesting Kiwis in our travels, and John Curry is up there with the best of them. He's an old bushman from way back, the sort of bloke that can fix things with a piece of number 8 wire, a paper clip or a piece of baling twine. John's taken the old Betty with a couple of logs on the back to the valley that he lives in. I didn't see a sawmill anywhere down there, but I wouldn't be surprised at all to find out that John actually makes planks from these logs by hand using an old pit saw or something like that. John has pretty much lived in this valley all his life and has eked out a living here over the years. He's a long way off the beaten track, and there's not many places in the world where the wildlife comes out to greet you when you arrive back home. John and his valley are actually part of Mickey Ryan's Out West tours, and Mickey brings tourists into the valley to enjoy John's unique place in the world, his stories and his great sense of humour. John enjoys the company of his 3 dogs, and they all head home for a well-earned cuppa. Just before we talk to John, Mickey explains this odd-looking milk can.
This is for pack horses. This used to be originally cut out of the bush for a dairy farm up here, and they packed the cream down the river to Charleston. There's your hooks for the... he went broke obviously because the floods, half the time he couldn't get his cream down there, and because he had to cross the rivers, there was no roads in there of course. His name was Atkins, and this area is named Atkins Flat after him. Yeah.
John's gone ahead and is literally putting the billy over the fire for a cup of tea. This is John's home. He knows this valley well, and it holds plenty of memories for him. Now let's join John and have a look at some of his old photos of times gone by.
Panda, get up here. Come get by the fire. Fly, you. Hey? Little fly. These 2 were lost for a full month.
Yeah?
They got down a part of the chasm, yeah.
Sure.
Chasing a big billy goat. The very first safety hat. 1959 they issued us with them. And they're just a sound shell. Makes the sound of the saw go vibrating in there and knocks your ears about. Yeah.
It's relatively light, isn't it? It's not too...
No, they're not too bad. But of course, you got that on your head when you're in the bush. You can't see as good, and you know, because we were logging in the bush. You know, you needed your hearing, you needed everything about you, and we found the hat as well as the earmuffs when they first come out to be a bloody nuisance.
So the earmuffs, would they have called you a sissy if you had put your bloody earmuffs on?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. and you'll see logging photos around where, I think I've got one there somewhere where I'm falling a tree, I don't have my hat on, and then I'm sniping the thing, and I get my photo taken with the snipe, and the hat's sitting on the log, because if the bush inspector came along and you didn't have your hat with you, he'd go crook and tell you have to leave the bush.
Wow.
So that was we saw it as a bloody an inhibitor in every way.
Yeah, hindrance.
Yeah. A total hindrance. But we got used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And today, you know, you got your bright coloured shirt, you got the whole thing today, and you don't go in the bush without your chainsaw pants on, you know. I find the chainsaw pants a nuisance as well. But yeah, when I worked in the bush, it was shorts and a singlet, nothing else.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was, yeah.
Yeah. We've got a few photos there to show you. OLB Bedford Gum Flax Company. That's a photo of it from behind. You can see the width and size of the wheels. And my old man in a homemade racing car at Karangaroo. He was down there building a Karangaroo River Bridge. He used to go down in the big pressure chamber, and he was living at Karangaroo in 1938, that was.
And did he win anything?
No, it wasn't his car. He'd just taken it for a test drive for the joker that owned it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So,
And that's the one I told you about the other night of the Model A down the bank.
yeah.
Straight standing on a nose on the riverbed. 5 tonne of sphagnum moss going to market.
The old Betty?
Yeah, oh yeah. J6 LC3. I come from, believe it or not, I bought them pipes from Stockton on that truck.
All the way back here.
all the way back here and coming in fair down straight. I was running late and I got going a bit quick, and she's going over a couple of bumps and the front wheels come off the ground and the pipe scraped on the road and a great cloud of sparks behind me. I could have ended up in the bush easy. Yeah, just go through them.
Let's look at this load of this top of log. Oops.
Hey?
This load of logs here, having to get that out of the, across a...
Across the river down below there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that's just down here.
And he's just getting, you know, he's got to crunch across all those stones to get up
Yes,
there.
yes.
And this bloody log, is that relatively heavy, that load?
Oh, I'd say so.
that's pretty good.
He well overloaded today. Yeah, well overloaded.
Yeah. And is this part of you here?
That's my brother Val and
Oh,
the
yeah.
bush boss Gordon Henriksen. And that's not the same truck as the other one. That's a Thornton Drive Ford.
Oh,
And
yeah,
they had
yeah, yeah.
they took the V8 petrols out of them and put the P6 Perkins in them.
Right.
Yeah. And that is just back over there where you stopped at the foot of the hill,
Yep.
coming out or
Yep.
across the flat.
And is this just a spar?
That's the spar tree.
I know Uncle Harry had a couple of these. He had to put 2 logs on first. I think it was about 100 foot, and it had an overhang, went out for miles.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
towed it with an old guy
Yeah,
truck.
yeah.
But that was that for, just to have a hauling spar.
It's a hauling spar. The cable goes right up the cable goes right up to the top of the hills in the bush,
Yep.
and you get a lift to lift the logs up, and it's also to be able to lift the logs to put them on the truck. Because you never had front end loaders or log grapples or anything like that.
And then that'd be one of the woolen singlets with the sleeves he's wearing there.
That's right. It's a genuine original woolen singlet.
Yeah, he used to
Yeah.
wear those.
With
on the
bush
side.
bush shirt.
Yeah, that's what they are. Bush
Yeah.
shorts, yeah. And this is looks like the old Leyland.
That's an old Leyland, yeah, a 4-wheeler. Yeah, that was used by Taronga Bay Sawmilling Company for 20 years, and she used to cart some big loads too.
Yeah, it did, yeah. Was it just a single drive or?
Yeah,
Yeah. And this is the Model T.
and Model T Ford. That's my grandfather and my Uncle Frank, and they're digging coal in the coal pit at Charleston. And you can see it's got a bloody good load on it too.
So that's a truck.
That's a Model T truck. Yeah.
Well,
About 1925, I think
Yeah.
that photo was.
they were a popular truck, those F-180s. Everybody seemed to want them.
Oh yeah, no, I love that old F1800.
Little
Yeah.
poodle dog there.
Yeah, it was given to me daughter.
Little Betty.
Yeah.
What am I looking at here?
Oh, that's looking down my pipeline over the river there when I
Oh.
building my sawmill.
That's what the pipes were for when you brought them over from the...
That's what I was bringing the pipe for to put a water-powered sawmill in.
It's getting a bit more modern. isn't it?
Yeah, that's my dad on Frank Menzies cream truck on Costello's Hill while it was still a gravel road.
Wow. There's the number plate. H20. That's a cart and a shed.
That's the same place as the other photo was taken from here looking towards the mountains with the load of logs on.
Yep.
And that's bringing the old loading winch back across the river.
Well, the R19, did that have a D-twit in it?
No, straight 6 petrol.
Oh, okay.
Used to do 3 miles to the gallon. Yeah,
It was unfortunate demise of falling off a bit.
yeah. Yeah, no, she didn't have any brakes and I was loading yellow pine logs and she decided she was going to run away down over the bank. And my kids have got a bit of a smirk on their face.
Is that flax?
That's 3 tonne of flax on
Was
an
it-
OLB.
Was it the market for it then still?
Oh yeah, the flax mill was going in Westport at the time.
Oh.
Yeah. When did the flax mill close?
About early 70s.
Early 70s, yeah. That would have been 63.
Yeah. Pipes.
And that's over 14 foot wide with the flax laid both ways.
That one, is that a Ford? Bajalba
The
Ford?
V8 Joe bar, yeah.
That sort of coming into the same place with the all this?
No, that's right down in the bottom corner here.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that truck coming across the river
Yeah.
is taking you here,
Oh,
looking
right.
up that way.
Yeah, yeah, right.
And that there's down under where you stopped at the lookout, straight at the foot of the hill there. And you can see the wire going off the spar tree, down to the
Yeah,
truck,
yeah,
and I'm sitting up in the top of the spar tree, doing some rigging. I was allowed to take my camera up. That was known as the wedding cake. Big V8 petrol, twin ignition, airport crash tender. I was going to run tourists down through the gorge, down here, with it.
The wedding cake.
It never eventuated.
Where did that truck come from?
Nelson.
Nelson Airport.
Roger Humphrey.
Oh, okay. Oh, you know him.
Roger was on that trip with you on that farewell spit, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he was, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. A hard man, Roger.
Good on you, John. Mickey Ryan actually includes John's place on his out west tours. So get hold of Mickey, go out to John's place and enjoy some of his great stories. In fact, we were just in there the other day with Brendan Dugan, and he sang a song to the resident animals.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like the free country roads. Take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home, country roads.
There's a young boy called Tyler, and he has his YouTube channel where he shows people what he does, and what he does is hunt and fish. Trout, sea, possums, pigs, all that sort of thing. So let's join Tyler as he catches a trout.
Dylan, you still got him? Yeah, I heard that, I heard it. Oh my god, he's on a nice fish.
Please don't get stuck in the stick.
I'll just get around.
I want him around. At least
Let's
to
see if we
him
can see
again.
him.
There he is.
Nice fish.
trout. Woo! Oh, belly flop.
Oh guys, watch out, Bell Bells, watch out, Bell Bells.
I was like, ooh, what's
We
that?
have to try getting him
Come
up
on,
with
baby,
phoenixes.
try grab it.
We gotta try get it up with phoenixes.
I know, I'll put a bit of drag on him. It's a nice fish. Phoenix!
No, phoenix, no,
No! That bells. The fish is like, oh my
Hold
god.
I'll grab your rock. Okay. Who are you?
I don't care if it comes off.
Just wet your hands
Hey,
first.
Bella!
Bella, out! Bella, out of it! That's right. Just get him out and on his way. Oh damn, watch out, Bell Bells!
Now you
Bella.
gotta get yourself tangled up. Get out!
Oh
Out!
god. Fishing with the dogs, guys, it's amazing.
Bring me a line.
Yeah.
Oh!
Hooks out. Alright, give him a nice photo. Hold it up, look at me. Hey, boo boo. Alright, give him the release. And he's gone home, babe. Oh, there's another one right there.
What?
Look right there. That's a different fish. Okay, guys, so that's the end of our YouTube video today. That was pretty good rainbow trout Dylan caught there. I'd estimate it probably like 45, 50 centimetres. Pretty good fish.
Now let's join the old goose rooter in the finale with his homemade tractor.